Hello and welcome back to the 2024 Campaign Trail, Episode 15. The primaries begin this episode. Here are the 2024 Republican primary poll results for the month of February. And first is Ron DeSantis at 13.1%, Jim Justice is at 11.5%, Tucker Carlson's at 10.3%, Charlie Baker's at 9.9%, Mitt Romney's at 8.7%, Chris Sununu's at 8.3%, Larry Hogan's at 7.9%, Greg Abbott's at 7.1%, Nikki Haley is at 6.3%, Rick Scott is at 5.9%, Kanye West is at 5.5%, and Ben Carson's at 5.1%. Here are the poll results for the Pennsylvania Republican primary. And first is Ron DeSantis at 23.8%, Tucker Carlson's at 17.9%, Ben Carson at 14.3%, Jim Justice at 8.3%, Chris Sununu at 7.1%, Rick Scott at 7%, Larry Hogan at 5%, Mitt Romney at 4.8%, Greg Abbott at 3.6%, Kanye West at 3.5%, Nikki Haley at 2.4%, and Charlie Baker at 1.2%. Here are the poll results out of Washington's Republican primary. Chris Sununu is at 21.2%, Ron DeSantis at 18.8%, Ben Carson at 11.8%, Mitt Romney at 9.4%, Tucker Carlson at 8.2%, Rick Scott at 8.1%, Nikki Haley at 4.7%, Kanye West at 4.6%, Larry Hogan at 3.5%, Charlie Baker at 3.4%, Greg Abbott at 3.3%, and Jim Justice at 2.4%. We now have the results out of the Illinois Republican primary poll. DeSantis leads at 21.2%, Tucker Carlson's at 18.8%, Rick Scott's at 10.6%, Ben Carson's at 9.4%, Larry Hogan's at 8.2%, Kanye West is at 8.1%, Mitt Romney's at 7.1%, Chris Sununu's at 4.7%, Nikki Haley's at 4.6%, Jim Justice is at 4.5%, Charlie Baker's at 1.2%, and Greg Abbott's at 1.1%. Here are the results out of the Michigan Republican primary poll. Ben Carson leads at 25.9%. This is most likely due to the endorsement out of Michigan's current governor, John James. Ron DeSantis at 22.4%, Mitt Romney at 12.9%, Tucker Carlson at 8.2%, Rick Scott at 8.1%, Jim Justice at 4.7%, Chris Sununu at 4.6%, Larry Hogan at 3.5%, Kanye West at 3.4%, Nikki Haley at 2.4%, Charlie Baker at 2.3%, and Greg Abbott at 1.2%. It is now time for the Iowa primaries. We all have been waiting for this. I've been waiting for it. It's time to see the primary season officially kicks off. The 2024 election season kicks off officially right now. And out of the Iowa primary, we can project that Ron DeSantis will win the most votes out of Iowa. He will come in first, winning 16.1%, the only candidate to break 15%. So he will win all of Iowa's pledged delegates. We'll get to that here in a second. But Tucker Carlson's in second at 12.2%, Ben Carson's at 10.6%, Charlie Baker's at 9%, Greg Abbott's at 7.8%, Jim Justice at 7.5%, Chris Sununu's at 6.3%, Rick Scott's at 6.2%, Mitt Romney's at 6.1%, Kanye West's at 6%, Larry Hogan's at 5.5%, and Nikki Haley's at 5.1%. And as we said before, Ron DeSantis has won all 40 of Iowa's pledged delegates due to him being the only candidate to break 15%. And the rest of the candidates will win 0 delegates due to them not breaking the threshold. And here's the county map. As you can see, DeSantis, of course, doing a phenomenal job in Iowa, winning every single county. This could be due to the fact that the governor, Kim Reynolds, did endorse him, but we typically don't see this out of Iowa in the first primary, a candidate winning every single county in Iowa, which is big news for the DeSantis campaign going forward. And out of the Iowa primary on the Democrat side, Sherrod Brown is the projected winner. He will go on to win the most votes out of Iowa, winning 17.1%. Similar to DeSantis, he'll be the only candidate to break 15%, thus he'll win all of their pledged delegates. Mark Cuban's in second at 13.6%, Kamala Harris at 13.5%, Roy Cooper at 12.6%, Tulsi Gabbard at 10%, Kyrsten Sinema at 9.4%, Pete Buttigieg, who had won the Iowa primary 4 years ago, it was a caucus back then, but he is now in seventh at 8.3%. Terrible performance out of his campaign. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 8.2%, and Amy Klobuchar at 7.6%. And as we said before, Sherrod Brown will win all of Iowa's pledged delegates on the Democrat side, leaving the other candidates to only garner 0 delegates. And similar to DeSantis, Sherrod Brown would also win every single county out of Iowa. However, unlike DeSantis, he did end up winning one county did win a majority of the vote in one county, a rural county at the very tippity top of Iowa, on the top left of Iowa, the county in the top left. He won that county by over 52%. Big showing for Sherrod Brown. Ben Carson withdraws from the GOP primary after a poor Iowa showing. This is a state he was hoping to get him on the map, hoping to earn him some delegates, as he has shown strong Rust Belt showings in polling, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't win enough of the vote to earn delegates, so he'll be withdrawing his candidacy immediately. Pete Buttigieg will end his disappointing presidential run. Once a frontrunner, he was a frontrunner at one point, but he has dropped to the bottom of the barrel. Couldn't win any delegates out of a state he had actually won just 4 years ago, and he is ending his campaign right now. Amy Klobuchar also withdraws from the Democrat primary. Similar to Ben Carson, she polls well in the Rust Belt, hoping Iowa would get her on the map, but it just couldn't do anything. She loses a lot of momentum and withdraws from the primary race. Tulsi Gabbard ends her long shot presidential run, hated by the Democrat establishment, loved by the moderate populists of the wing, I presume. But she did have a pretty good showing, winning 10% of the vote, but she didn't win enough delegates out of a state that she was hoping would put her on the map, but she will be withdrawing immediately. We now have poll results out of the Democrat primary poll for February, the national, and Sherrod Brown leads at 21.4%. Good. These are good numbers considering he just won Iowa by a very large margin. Mark Cuban's at 17.9%, Kamala Harris at 17.8%, Roy Cooper at 16.9%, Kyrsten Sinema at 13.7%, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 12.9%. We now have poll results out of the Arkansas Democrat primary. Roy Cooper leads the pack at 24.2%. Roy Cooper and Mark Cuban, these two kind of fight for the South, it seems like, in these polling. It's always Roy Cooper or Mark Cuban, with sometimes Kamala Harris up there as well. It's usually these two fighting for the South, so we'll just have to wait and see when more of the South comes in. But Sherrod Brown's at 18.3%, Kamala Harris at 15.9%, Kyrsten Sinema at 8.9%, and AOC at 8.8%. We now have the results out of the Oregon Democrat primary poll. Kamala Harris leads the pack at 28.8%, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 21.7%, Sherrod Brown at 15.9%, Roy Cooper at 13.5%, Mark Cuban at 11.2%, and Kyrsten Sinema at 8.8%. Now results out of the Arizona Democrat primary poll. Kyrsten Sinema, no surprise here, despite low approval rating from Democrats, she is winning 42% of this poll. Roy Cooper is at 13.2%, AOC is at 13.1%, Sherrod Brown's at 12%, Kamala Harris, I don't know what the hell I was about to say, Kamala Harris at 10.8%, Mark Cuban at 8.5%. We now have the poll results out of the Wisconsin Democrat primary. Mark Cuban leading the pack. Mark Cuban running a very different kind of campaign than other Democrats, either running as a moderate or as a progressive. He's kind of running in the middle between the two. Some people are kind of saying he's like acting like Donald Trump, like how he acted in 2015. That he's just a Democrat Donald Trump. But he's saying that he's nothing like Donald Trump, and so he's doing very well in the Rust Belt and the South. But he is leading 23.9% in this poll. Sherrod Brown's at 23.8%, Kamala Harris at 15.7%, AOC at 15.6%, Roy Cooper at 12.1%, and Kyrsten Sinema at 8.6%. We now have a 2024 poll. This time we're pitting Charlie Baker versus Roy Cooper in the state of Louisiana. Charlie Baker kind of underperforming Donald Trump's numbers in the state, as he's only winning this poll by 12 points over Roy Cooper. Could be due to Roy Cooper's southern influence, could be because Charlie Baker's kind of a neoliberal Republican, a Bill Clinton Republican, I guess you could say. But we don't know, but we do know he is underperforming by a lot here in the South. It is now time for the New Hampshire primaries. We saw wipeouts in Iowa, giant wipeouts. Can we see something similar here in North New Hampshire? We'll just have to wait and find out. And out of the New Hampshire primary, we can project, no surprise here, Chris Sununu will win the most votes out of New Hampshire's primary on the Republican side, winning 19.1%, a big underperformance of what people were expecting him to win. But Larry Hogan's in second at 18.3%, Ron DeSantis at 16.4%, Charlie Baker at 10.5%, Mitt Romney at 8.9%, Tucker Carlson at 6.6%, Rick Scott at 5.4%, Nikki Haley at 5%, Jim Justice at 4.2%, Kanye West at 3.1%, and Greg Abbott at 2.7%. And here are the delegates so far. I don't know why this is Ron DeSantis, but Chris Sununu and Larry Hogan will both tie with the most delegates. Both will win 8 delegates out of New Hampshire, while Ron DeSantis will pick off 6 delegates. The other candidates will not win any delegates out of New Hampshire. And here's the county map on your screen. Chris Sununu in blue, Larry Hogan in orange, and Ron DeSantis keeping with the red color. As you can see here, Chris Sununu doing very well in the southeast of the state, where the most populous counties are on screen right here. This is kind of your Matt Mowers. This is your Matt Mowers district right here. However, Ron DeSantis was scratch that. I don't want to say that. Matt Mowers hasn't made an endorsement right now. And on the Democrat side, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will win here. The Democrats in the state are very progressive, and it's no surprise that AOC, being one of the few progressives in the race left, or the most farthest left in this race, will win the state of New Hampshire. She will win 27.6% of the vote here. Sherrod Brown will win 17%. Kamala Harris will win 14.6%. Kyrsten Sinema will win 14.5%. A pretty good showing out of Kyrsten Sinema in the state of New Hampshire. Mark Cuban will win 13.5%, and Roy Cooper will win 13.2% in New Hampshire. And as you can see here, for some reason, they have allocated Kamala Harris and Kyrsten Sinema. They did get, apparently they got enough of the vote in the state to win at least 1 delegate. So that is good news for Harris and Sinema. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will win 12 delegates, and Sherrod Brown will win 10, with the rest of the candidates not getting any. And here is the county map. As you can see here, Sherrod Brown keeping the blue and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the red. AOC doing well in the most populous counties in the state, while Sherrod Brown will win more of the rural counties. However, these are very close, very narrow. And out of the governor primary on the Republican side, Governor Kelly Ayotte will sweep renomination, defeating her opponent. She will win 55% of the vote. This is the Scott Brown will win 21.7% of the vote. Chuck Morse will win 10%. And this is a massive L for Donald Trump. His endorsed candidate, Corey Lewandowski, will only get 6.7% of the vote. He was trying to primary Kelly Ayotte, but he couldn't do it. And Corey Lewandowski only gets 6.7% of the vote. And Jeannie Foster winning 6.6% of the vote. And here is the county map on your screen here. Kelly Ayotte winning these counties. Very similar map to the Democrat primary, actually. The New Hampshire governor primary, former Congressman Chris Pappas will go on to win the nomination here. Yes, I said former Congressman. He lost his seat in 2022. Winning 40% of the vote, a massive victory here, defending off Executive Councilman Andrew Valinsky, who had 18.3%, former Congresswoman Ann Custer, who had, yes, she also lost a re-election 2 years ago, at 16.7%, former State Senator Dan Phelps at 15%, and State Senator Melanie Levesque at 10%. Here's the county map thus far. Chris Pappas in blue, Andrew Valinsky in red, Ann Custer in orange, and Dan Phelps in purple. After a poor New Hampshire showing, Charlie Baker will be withdrawing from the Republican primary. He does very well in the Northeast, and he was hoping that New Hampshire could put him on the map like it did with Larry Hogan, but it just didn't work. It didn't happen. Charlie Baker didn't win any delegates. He had a poor performance, and he will be withdrawing from the race. A new 2024 poll is out, this time pitting Kanye West against Kamala Harris. If you want my honest opinion, this is embarrassing. If Kamala Harris isn't leading in a state like Florida against someone like Kanye West, then I don't know why the Democrats should nominate her. Kanye West is a joke candidate. Here at Chaotic Politics, we don't even treat him as credible. We're only the big man upstairs. He says we should add him for some reason, but Kanye West is barely leading over Kamala Harris, which is bad enough that Harris isn't even leading. It's Kanye in Florida. So if you want my honest opinion, this is embarrassing. Another 2024 poll, this time showing Mark Cuban and Jim Justice in the state of Connecticut. Kind of a poor showing from Mark Cuban, as this is a state Biden won by 20 points. Mark Cuban leading Jim Justice by 12 points. Of course, both of these guys have crossover appeal. Both of these guys are winning conservative, moderate, and liberal voters. So this is kind of a flip-floppy here, as liberal conservative voters are somewhat going to Cuban, liberal voters are going to Jim Justice. It's very confusing out of this poll we have, but it is what it is. Cuban leading 12 points over Jim Justice. And we have news out of St. Louis, Missouri. Congresswoman Cori Bush has came out and endorsed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for president. Another squad member coming out and endorsing AOC. Another big name progressive. AOC is the only progressive in this race. However, Sherrod Brown is trying to rally up his left flank. However, AOC is kind of just taking it slowly and slowly from Sherrod Brown. Out of Florida, Congressman Matt Gaetz has endorsed Ron DeSantis. Matt Gaetz, very popular in the panhandle of Florida, and Matt Gaetz is now coming out and endorsing Ron DeSantis for president. There was some thoughts that he could have endorsed Tucker Carlson, but instead he is endorsing Ron DeSantis instead. Senator Chuck Schumer has came out. The Senate Minority Leader has came out in support of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris came out in upstate New York, and Chuck Schumer came out and gave his full support behind Kamala Harris. Congressman Andy Harris of Maryland, he came out and endorsed Larry Hogan for president. Andy Harris endorsing Larry Hogan big time. Many thought he was going to endorse DeSantis. No, he endorsed his fellow Marylander, Larry Hogan, which, after his performance in New Hampshire, maybe this is starting to give him more national name recognition. Who knows? It is now time for the Nevada primary, and let's see if we get someone new winning. This is a very interesting primary cycle thus far, and we can project that Ron DeSantis will win the plurality of the vote in Nevada. He will win 18.5% of the vote. Mitt Romney will win 15.3%, a massive overperformance of his previous numbers. Tucker Carlson will win 12.6%. Chris Sununu will win 11.8%. Nikki Haley will win 9.6%. Greg Abbott will win 8.1%. Kanye West will win 7.3%. Larry Hogan will win 6.2%. Jim Justice will win 5.8%. Rick Scott will win 5.4%. And here are the delegate counts so far, as DeSantis and Romney were the only two candidates who won delegates. DeSantis will win 13 delegates, and Mitt Romney will win 12 delegates. So Mitt Romney is now on the map. Romney's on the map. The other candidates will win 0 delegates. And here is the county map thus far. Mitt Romney is now in green, as you can see. As you can see, DeSantis winning a big chunk of the map. Kind of a weird county map, if you ask me. But DeSantis in red, Romney in green. Out of Nevada's primary on the Democrat side, Kamala Harris will pick up a victory, winning this primary, winning 22.9% of the vote. Mark Cuban will win 19.4%. Kirsten Sinema will win 16.5%, a big performance for her 2 times in a row. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will win 15.4%. Sherrod Brown will win 14.8%. And Roy Cooper will win 11.4%. And now we awarding delegates. Kamala Harris will win 11 delegates. Mark Cuban will win 9 delegates. Kirsten Sinema will win 8 delegates. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will win 7. And Sherrod Brown winning enough of the vote to win 1 delegate. However, Roy Cooper will win 0 delegates. And here is the county map. As you can see here, Kamala Harris in orange, Mark Cuban in green, Kirsten Sinema in brown, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in red. And out of the Senate primary out of Nevada for the Republicans, former Senator Dean Heller will win this primary over the other candidates, who will win 30.6%. Another L to Donald Trump, his endorsed candidate, Mark Amidei, will win 25.8%. Very close, but no cigar. Former Lieutenant Governor Brian Kurlecki will win 19.4%. State Senator Heidi Gansert will win 14.5%. And Attorney Danny Tarkanian will win 9.7%. And here's the county map thus far. Or here's the county map in this race. Red for Dean Heller, blue for Mark Amidei, and orange for Brian Kurlecki. And out of the Nevada Senate primary for the Democrats, Jackie Rosen will win renomination. However, she kind of underperforms what a incumbent should perform. She wins 58.1% of the vote. Former Attorney General of the state, Aaron Ford, at 14.5%. Former Congressman Ruben Kihun at 12.9%. Businessman Stephen Klubeck, who was endorsed by Mark Cuban, by the way, at 9.7%. And former Congressman Stephen Horsford at 4.8%. However, on the county map here, Jackie Rosen will run away with it, winning. That should say 58%. I don't know why it says 30%. But she will win every single county in Nevada. Tucker Carlson withdraws. Oh God, sorry about that. Tucker Carlson will withdraw from the primary after poor primary showings. He hasn't won a single delegate out of the first 3 primaries, which should be his best primary performances. But he will be withdrawing from the race. Go back to his show on Tucker Carlson tonight. Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama has came out and endorsed Nikki Haley during one of her rallies in Birmingham, Alabama tonight. Kay Ivey stating that Nikki Haley is the future of Reaganism in the party and that she should be the nominee. It is now time for the final primary of this episode, the South Carolina primaries. And no surprise here, we can make a projection that Nikki Haley will win the plurality of the vote in South Carolina. She will win the most votes. She will win 22% of the vote, an underperformance similar to Chris Sununu. And Ron DeSantis will be at 17.1%, Jim Justice at 14.8%, Rick Scott at 10.9%, Greg Abbott at 7.9%, Chris Sununu at 7.1%, Larry Hogan at 7%, I don't know why that says Kanye West, Mitt Romney at 6.7%, and Kanye West at 6.3%. And out of the delegates so far, Jim Justice squeaks by out of winning 1 delegate, just 1. Nikki Haley will win 26 delegates and Ron DeSantis will win 23. The other candidates will win no delegates. And here's the county map on your screen now. Nikki Haley is in brown and Ron DeSantis is in red. And a big shocker here, Roy Cooper will win the South Carolina primary. Most people here thought it was either going to be Kamala Harris or Mark Cuban fighting for first while Cooper got third. But that's not the case. That is absolutely not the case. Roy Cooper runs away with the victory here, 27.1%. Kamala Harris at 22.5%. Mark Cuban at 16.3%. Sherrod Brown at 14.4%. Kirsten Sinema at 9.8%. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 8.9%. And here are the delegate count on your screen now. Roy Cooper wins 21 delegates out of South Carolina. Kamala Harris wins 18. And Mark Cuban wins 15 as the other 3 candidates win 0. And here's the county map on your screen now. Roy Cooper in purple, Kamala Harris in orange, and Mark Cuban in green. Rick Scott withdraws from the GOP primary after South Carolina. He's had poor showings. He was putting a lot of money into South Carolina. Poor performance. Nobody wants him, so he'll withdraw from the race. Greg Abbott also wins his once promising White House run. He had a very promising start, but then it kind of just fizzled out. So he will go back to being the governor of Texas. Where do the candidates stand on LGBT rights? Here's the first stance: no personal opinion. Chris Sununu of New Hampshire. The next stance is pro-LGBT. We have 7 candidates. We have Governor Jim Justice, Senator Sherrod Brown, Senator Kirsten Sinema, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Governor Roy Cooper, businessman Mark Cuban, and Vice President Kamala Harris. Another stance, just respect Obergefell despite personal disagreement, Senator Larry Hogan. Another stance just opposes LGBT rights altogether. First is Senator Mitt Romney, Ambassador Nikki Haley, and Governor Ron DeSantis. Here are the delegate counts thus far. First in the GOP primary, Ron DeSantis has won 59 delegates, Chris Sununu has won 8 delegates, Larry Hogan has won 8 delegates, Mitt Romney has won 12 delegates, Nikki Haley has won 26 delegates, Jim Justice has won 1 delegate, and Kanye West has won 0 delegates. Here's the delegate count thus far in the Dem primary. Mark Cuban winning 24 delegates, Sherrod Brown winning 53 delegates, the clear frontrunner. Kamala Harris winning 30 delegates, AOC winning 19 delegates, Roy Cooper winning 21 delegates, and Kirsten Sinema winning 9 delegates. Who's endorsing who? The endorsement tracker. Endorsing Ron DeSantis, we have Brad Little, Kristi Noem, Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton, Mike Lee, Kim Reynolds, Mark Gordon, Thomas Massie, Todd Young, Josh Hawley, Mike Parsons, Kevin Nicholson, Matt Gaetz, Rand Paul, Candace Owens, Mark McCloskey, Mike Lindell, and John James. Who's endorsing Chris Sununu? Well, we have Linda McMahon and Chris Christie. Who's endorsing Nikki Haley? We have Tim Scott, John Thune, Mike Rounds, Kay Ivey, Mitch McConnell, and Dan Crenshaw. Who's endorsing Kamala Harris? We have a big list. We have Tim Kaine, Cory Booker, Michelle Grisham, Elizabeth Warren, Ted Wheeler, Martin Heinrich, Deval Patrick, Tom Vilsack, John Delaney, Ron Wyden, Ben Cardin, Debbie Stabenow, Kathy Hochul, Stacey Abrams, John Ossoff, Mazie Hirono, Michelle Obama, Chuck Schumer, Jared Polis, John Hickenlooper, and Michael Bennet. Who's endorsing Mitt Romney? We have Spencer Cox, Liz Cheney, Ben Sass, and Derek Schmidt. Who's endorsing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? We have Jay Inslee, Ed Markey, Seth Moulton, Ayanna Pressley, Ruben Gallego, Dan McKee, Tammy Baldwin, John Fetterman, Jim McGovern, and Cori Bush. Who's endorsing Sherrod Brown? Just Richard Neal. Who's endorsing Mark Cuban? We have Charlie Crist, Howard Schultz, and Andy Beshear. Who's endorsing Larry Hogan? We have Andy Harris. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. There is a new poll down in the description below. It's a giant poll. We do every primary in the month of March, including both Super Tuesdays, so we have a lot of primaries. So go down in the description and fill it out. Dadgummit. This is the Chaotic One saying, peace.